Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Has President Biden ever been to the southern border?
In his life?
Yes.
I will have to look back in my history books and check the times he's been to the southern border.
We have been looking all morning, and we cannot find any record of him visiting the border as president, vice president, senator, or even as a concerned citizen. Why would that be?
I can check and see when the last time or when he may have been.
Man. Ducey is to Psaki what the press and Jim Acosta and was to Trump. Has he ever? Has he been there ever? Maybe. I don't know. That is, has he ever been there? No. Maybe. Probably. I don't know. I'll check. Maybe. I got to look at well, we've been looking. Well, maybe. I don't know. He flew one time and he flew over it. Does that count? That's not the same. It's not? Are you sure? That should count. That should count. So for the last 48 hours, this is typical press media. We're not asking the question about how did 10, 12, whatever it was, 1,000, 15,000 people wander up. How did that happen? How did they wander up, set up shop in a little city of 35,000 people? And how is it that our government seems to be oblivious to it? I'm curious. I mean, just how is that? And just like, has he ever been there? Maybe. I don't know. Humanitarian crisis. It is a nightmare. But you know what you need to do? You need to run to the cameras and you need to say the most insane things you can possibly say. Case in point, Maxine Waters, who, as we all know, will say anything at all to make sure that she continues to get the cameras put in her face.
What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed is worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people, Haitians, into the water where they're scrambling and falling down, and all they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country. Worse than what we witnessed in slavery.
So that's worse than what we witnessed in slavery. That is worse than what we witnessed in slavery. That's what it is. Worse than what we witnessed in slavery. If you continue to be insane, people will continue to give you the microphone. Do I think she's insane? I do not. I think she is smart as it comes in the world of politics. You say incredibly insane things. You give crazy hot takes. People will continue to come to you over and over again. Here's a hot take, but this one's retro.
If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot.
That's Biden. The internet never forgets. If Haiti sunk or rose up, nobody cared. Oh, my goodness me. So the battle is over the last 2 days, not what happened. Not the fact that there is 13,000, 10,000, whatever it is. I mean, the numbers at this point they're inconsequential because there's apparently another group coming right behind that could be much larger than this. None of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. What matters is these two guys, in particular one guy who looked like they were whipping. That's what people are focusing on. Not the fact that our border patrol is drinking out of a fire hydrant. Our border patrol is struggling to maintain any semblance of a border. And when you ask anybody about that, well, God bless them, because there's nothing wrong with our border. Nothing.
I think the narrative about immigration is so wrong. First of all, the southern border is 1,954 miles. It is not out of control. Thank you to those who are protecting it. I have many people who acknowledge that.
Not out of control. Not out of control. Our Border Patrol is not out of control. You don't think that? Our border's not out of control? You don't think that there's an issue there? We did a report, I think it was about 3 weeks ago. There was about 6 officers for about 240 miles of border. It's not out of control. Man, they are struggling in every way, shape, or form to spin this. There's a problem here. We know that. There's a problem here. It needs to be dealt with. There's a problem here. We have true issues at this border, and the progressives are excited, right? This gives an opportunity to come out, to say stuff, to talk about all kinds of, how we need to be more welcoming. I'm all about more welcoming. But before we can start to get it in order, we got to get this in order first. We got to stop the illegal immigration. We got to find out who's here. We got to figure out how and what we're going to do to deal with all of this stuff. And to tell me seeing 12,000, 10,000, whatever it is that somebody wants to send me numbers, it's 14,000 this and it's 15,000, it's 11, whatever it is, seeing that many people living under a bridge, and you're telling me there's no problem. What? That's a you thing. At this point in time, you are playing politics. We got so much more of this to get to. I sit back and I think to myself, my God, you guys are so delusional. I don't even know where to begin. You're so delusional. Even people that are Democrats that I know are like, this can't happen, right? Like, we got to stop this. You can't have this. Oh, they can have it, and they will. Gladly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So much more to get to today. On top of all that, so you got the border issues. Afghanistan that he's still reeling from. COVID and the battle there, and we're still not quite sure what's, boosters, no boost, maybe boost, kind of boost, you boost, I boost, everybody boost. At the end of the day, though, we all step back and we say one thing. It's the economy, stupid.
For a second straight week, jobless claims rose slightly, a sign the virus may be blocking the job market's rebound. 351,000 Americans filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits. That is still way below the pandemic high, but it's elevated compared to before the pandemic. Hiring was slower last month, and nearly 3 million Americans are still receiving unemployment aid.
Yeah. So spending's down a little bit. People are looking around and thinking to themselves, what may happen because it's fall now. It's officially fall. Christmas time is right around the corner. This is the time of the year when businesses there's already going to be issues when it comes to businesses and making hay. We've got a supply chain problem that is real, and it's not getting any better. And it's not just the fact, think about this. It's not just the fact that we have chip problems. There's so many things that go into it. But that's going to affect everybody. Then you couple that with inflation. There's so many issues. And when you make that hay, your goal is I make all of this money in a big way so I can survive through the first quarter and parts of the second quarter next year as we ramp up towards summer and then redoing it again. Inflation is very real. The whole thought process of, it's temporary. It's only going to be here for a little bit. It's temporary. It's only going to be here. Don't worry about it. Well, maybe it's going to be here a little bit longer. There is a lot out there.
Wait! Your new car, refrigerator, bicycle, sofa, computer, phone, even your next wine and cheese party could be in peril. Held up by massive supply chain delays. How did this happen? After long months of pandemic shutdowns, demand among American consumers shot up faster than expected. So high, the Port of Los Angeles just had its busiest month ever. But on any given day, dozens of ships can't unload because there aren't enough dock workers to handle that massive surge.
Yeah, that's one thing. There was somebody that took a picture yesterday, posted it. He was on a plane, or she was on a plane, and they were flying out, because when you take off out of LAX, you turn and you go one way, same thing over Long Beach, you're going to come out over the ocean. And they took a picture, and you could see about 100 ships just sitting out there waiting to go in and dock, and they don't have the workers for it. And the trickle down comes. If people aren't going to be able to get their stuff, they're not going to be spending money. If they're not spending money, you're going to see the things that are available. Those prices are going to shoot up because of demand. People aren't going to be afford certain things. You're going to start to see that inflation pinch. It could potentially be a slow holiday season. We already had one of those. It's the economy, stupid. At the end of the day, people are going to be looking around going, well, you're not getting really right on the border. We can't even give you anything less than an F, or we would. Afghanistan was a giant, right? You got that COVID where you thought you were going to be the commander-in-chief to get away COVID and get this thing out of here. That didn't happen the way that people thought. And now we've got shrinkflation, inflation. People are going to be asking questions in a different way sooner rather than later because they know they got midterms coming up. And that's why the Democrats are pressing hard with so many of these things, because I think they understand at the rate it's going, there's going to be a changing of the guard when it comes to parts of the Senate and in particular in the House. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, kids, let me tell you something. Roman, you want to get Roman ready, right? Roman ready. One thing that is available, one thing that is inexpensive, because you don't want shrinkflation when it comes to this. No. You don't. So you want to get Roman ready. Yeah, what's Roman? So first of all, you go to getroman.com/chat. Talk to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about ED. You can do it right from the privacy of your home. It's comfortable, it's simple, and easy. So when you're ready and the time is right, you're going to be confident to know that, yes, you can rise to the occasion. GetRoman.com/chat. You complete an online visit. You talk to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free within 2 days of shipping. That's how simple it is. Go to GetRoman.com today. GetRoman.com/Chad. GetRoman.com/Chad. If prescribed, 50% off your first month ED treatment. Make sure you're confident. Yeah. And you're ready. Yeah. Because you want to win this summer and this fall. Get Roman ready. GetRoman.com/Chad today. Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The restaurant has confirmed to ABC News that the couple was there, and they say they're now speaking with the FBI, though the FBI is not commenting and has not confirmed the incident. Authorities had previously believed the last time Petito was seen alive was 3 days earlier, leaving a Utah hotel with Laundrie. And Laundrie wouldn't be seen again until 2 days later, when a couple says they picked him up hitchhiking alone. And by September 1st, Laundrie had returned to South Florida with Petito's van, but without Gabby.
Yeah. Again, stranger and stranger. The whole thing is just, it's bizarre. Where is he? Right now, they're looking everywhere, and that means everywhere, above ground and...
Authorities have stressed the fact they brought a dive team in here at this nature reserve does not necessarily mean they found anything. They say they've also brought in boats, even sonar equipment, to try to make sure that if Brian Laundrie is here and even underwater, they can still find him.
He's living underwater? I think we're dealing with a meta-human here. No, did he kill himself? And the big thing, and I'm telling you that more and more people are looking at the family. The family. That's your child, right? And we saw it, and I keep going back to this. Remember, was it affluenza? Is that what it was called? The affluenza kid? So the affluenza kids, you guys remember this, several years ago. You had this kid who got drunk. He crashed his SUV or somebody's SUV and killed, I think it was 3 or 4 people, hurt some others. He was like 15. He got off, essentially, as far as on probation because his mother and father, the way that the prosecution, said, look, this kid's out of control. And then his defense team's like, look, he's never had consequences. His family is so rich that anything that happens, they write a check. He doesn't understand consequences. He is above consequences in his mind because he's never had them. So why should he? And so that's how he got off. Then what ended up happening? He got caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do on film. They revoked his probation or whatever he was supposed to be doing because he wasn't supposed to be drinking or anything. He was still underage. And his mom pulled out all this cash and they disappeared, went to Mexico. It's your kid. Some people would say, honey, what did you do? What do you know? Other people will do everything in their power to protect their kid.
If they have knowledge, yes, I would love to say, please share more information. If they don't have knowledge, then, there's only so much they can do.
They have to know more than they're letting on. Did they send the police on a wild goose chase? And people are asking the question, too. You knew he came home. It was a missing report was filed. Eventually, you kind of came over and talked to the family, but you never said he was a suspect, but you didn't say he wasn't. And rather than just go, you know what, let's just watch the house and see what happens, you did nothing. And now he's gone. And who knows where he could be? Did they say he went to this reserve and he disappeared? Or did they say, hey, we're going to give them a 48-hour head, or 72-hour head start. We're going to send them all over the place. We're going to tell them we don't know anything. And boom, you get out of here. Here's a bunch of money, all that stuff. Don't know. But it is an intriguing story because you've got a guy that's disappeared and people are going to be looking for him everywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Did you guys hear Hollywood's going to save us from coronavirus, climate change, and everything else? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
ICE has resumed deportation flights to Haiti. Reportedly, babies under the age of 3 have been on those flights. Families fleeing a humanitarian crisis seeking a better life in the United States have been rounded up like cattle, whipped, handcuffed, and detained, sent back to a country where many families have nothing left. This is abhorrent. The Biden administration must halt these deportation flights and allow folks to make a legal asylum claim.
Ariana Presley right there, very progressive, pushing hard on the Biden administration. In fact, one of their top people has just stepped away from the administration, somebody who deals in particular in what is going on in places like Haiti, but says because of the way that the administration is treating the Haitians and how inhumane it is. And this is a guy who's a special envoy to Haiti. He says it's inhumane to deport thousands of Haitians. I continue to go back to this. What do we do? Because if we're not going to have a border, and you could say that, oh, we have a border. Border's fine. There's nothing wrong with the border. Border's absolutely fine. Secretary Mayorkas,
Is the border more secure now under your leadership?
Congressman, it is no less secure than it was previously. The border is secure. We're executing our plan, and I've been very clear and unequivocal in that regard. No less secure than it was previously.
That's not really an answer. Well, what do you mean secure? If stopping terrorists to getting in here, I mean, who knows? I mean, you look, a terrorist could come here tomorrow from some faraway land. We may not know about it for 5 or 10 years. Is that what we're talking about? Because if we're talking about the amount of people that are walking across our border, and you think that is secure, what does unsecure look like? I'm curious. Humor me. I'm not trying to be a Richard. I just feel like it's not as secure as you think it is. It's not. It is a nightmare.
On September 8th, there were roughly 900 Haitians that were scheduled to be on airplanes to go back to Haiti. And the Biden administration canceled those flights. They said, we're not going to deport you. You can stay here. You can remain in America. And what happened was simple. Those 900 Haitians, they pulled out their phones and they called their families. They called their friends. They texted their family and friends. 700 people had become 10,503. It took 8 days for that to happen. Within a couple of days, that 10,000 had become 15,000, and it was straight cause and effect. The word went out that the Biden administration is not going to enforce the law, and if you're from Haiti, come to Del Rio because that means you get to stay, and that's what's produced this disaster.
Now, do I think that's what produced this disaster? No, I don't think that's what produced this disaster. I think this disaster was produced in October of last year.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
That, to me, was the phone call that was made. That, to me, if you will, was the phone call that got everybody up and going. If he wins, this guy seems to be pretty amenable to fixing the problem by giving everybody, pathway to citizenship. But a lot of Democrats are asking questions, but some are pushing a different agenda.
Calling on DHS to immediately halt these deportations and do everything possible to support those fleeing the violence on the island. We have a moral obligation to lead with compassion, and the images we've seen of Haitians waiting in tent camps to make an asylum claim, which is a legal right, is a reminder of that. Haitian lives are Black lives, and if we truly believe that Black lives matter, then we must reverse course.
There we go. So that's where it's going to be. Where do we go? I mean, honestly, here's a fair question to ask people. If we're not going to stop anybody from coming here, then what do we do? Why do we even have a nation? I mean, what are we at that point in time? And I do not fault people for trying to make the effort. I do not fault people for trying to give themselves and their family a better life. This isn't about them. This is about the politicians. This is about the powers that be. This is about the people that we entrust to do the things that need to be done in protecting our country, in dotting the I's and crossing the T's and upholding the laws. So the question is simple. If we're not going to do that, then what do we do? Or do we just say, screw it? You want to come here? Go for it. If you want to come here, have at it. If you want to come here, don't worry about it. If you want to come here, knock yourself out. This is a mess. And again, take away the color of the skin. Take away the people and where they're coming from. Think about the cities. Think about the people that are going to be essentially dumped in cities and towns where they may have no idea who anybody is. The resources, the things that are going to have to think about all of those things. It's not just a border town. But the Biden administration, they don't seem to care. Both administrations in the past have taken it on in a different way. Trump wanted to build a wall, but the one thing he did when it came to building a wall was, to me and to most, was the most important thing about building a wall, which is he did it with a pen. Stay in Mexico. Changed so much. And gave the orders that if you catch somebody, you turn around, you put them back, and you put them over there. Mexico said, well, we don't want them. We can't afford them. We better take care of our own people, so you guys got to go. Now, even though there is a stay in Mexico order that's still been upheld, it doesn't matter because unless you enforce it, it's useless. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Did you feel like yesterday everything changed when it came to the climate?
This is all wrong.
I mean, did you feel it? Could you feel it?
I shouldn't be up here.
I mean, come on, did you?
I should be back in school, on the other side of the ocean.
I mean, because it was autumn and they're all coming out?
You all come to us young people for hope.
And they want to change everything.
How dare you?
Yeah.
You have stolen my dreams,
oh, no.
my childhood, with your empty words. How dare you come here saying that you're doing enough? Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. Right here, right now, 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 right now, right here, right now.
So last night, like a big climate thing, all the late night muckety mucks did their climate stuff. They came out and shamed everybody. I said yesterday in my local show, which I don't know if I'll get in trouble. They're a little bit more conservative in some of the way because I'm a little bit more edgy, I guess. You know, I always tell everybody, you guys really don't want to know what I think. People ask me, why don't you do comedy anymore? Because people have cameras. Oh, you're going to be, no, I'm just going to be in this day and age, politically, I'm sure incorrect. But I said yesterday, it's like I was sitting there and I was talking about like Jimmy Kimmel, right? I was like, man, Jimmy Kimmel, when he worked at K-Rock and he did the Man Show and stuff, I said, he used to be funny. And I said, that was before he was a douche. But here's some of the sweet things that you heard last night, you know, coming out of the magical world of late night to shame everybody into being a better person when it comes to the climate.
Of course, not everyone's worried about climate disaster. Some people don't care at all. One recent survey found that most Americans do not believe they will be personally affected by global warming. Americans treat climate science like soccer. We know it's out there and it really matters to the rest of the world, but no one can make us care.
Not funny. Not funny. Not funny. You want to hear not funny? This is, I'm going to play this whole joke because it is so bad, and I apologize. It is about 46 seconds of just awful, and I keep going back to the age-old question is, how do these people get on TV?
The United States and Canada over the past 2 weeks has killed hundreds of millions of marine animals and then continues to threaten untold species in fresh water. One marine biologist told The Times, it just feels like one of those post-apocalyptic movies. And it does. In fact, I tried to sell Hollywood Studios a screenplay for a movie with that exact plot. It was called World War C. It took place in a dystopian future where a marine biologist, played by Brad Pitt, who's cynical because he thinks his life is meaningless now that all the marine life has died, is recruited by a band of rebels to break the last remaining dolphin on Earth out of a government lab and return him to the ocean. Just as they escort him to the edge of the water to release him, government agents assassinate the scientist. And as he lays there on the beach, gasping his last dying breath, the dolphin says, "I am sorry you died for nothing." And the scientist said, "You didn't die for nothing. I found my porpoise."
I don't know what else to say. If that doesn't fix climate change, I don't know what will. If those are the jokes we're going to have from now on, the quicker this place can heat up, the better it's going to be. Get them damn seas a-rising. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. I love hearing from you. God, that was awful. That was so bad. There are professionals, or they call themselves that, who write jokes and sat down and wrote that. That's why I keep telling everybody, when you see something like that happen last week when Norm Macdonald died, you appreciate what brilliance is. You appreciate greatness. When you hear that, you think to yourself, again, please, if these seas could rise faster, that'd be super. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I mean, it's so bad that even Greta heard that and said,
"How dare you?"
Yeah, that's how bad it was. And that was a horrible joke, and still better than the porpoise joke. Raycon, best earbuds around. Raycon couldn't protect you from what you just heard there, but they can protect your ears from hearing other stuff that's awful and hearing it clear. They have the best sound quality. Absolutely incredible, right? So when you get your Raycons, the thing I always tell everybody, first of all, you get an amazing charging case. The charging case will give you up to 4 full charges, so you don't have to be plugged in somewhere all the time. The second thing is you get 6 soft gel tips. Those things are, people, they're not you get, have you ever got, you get earbuds and either they're the really hard plastic ones, but you'll get some and they'll give you 1 or 2 maybe. These give you 6 different kinds, and it's to find the perfect fit. Because once you have the perfect fit, away you go. Noise isolating fit, sound quality design, 6 hours of talk time, tons of listening time. You will love these things. As the holidays are here, let me tell you what they do have. They don't have a supply chain problem. They have your earbuds ready and roll. You get a 45-day happiness guarantee, and they start under $70. Get the best earbuds around. No stems, no wires, 45-day happiness guarantee. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. 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 Oh, my goodness.
How dare you?
Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
Saturday Night Live revealing the first 4 hosts of the upcoming season, and they're all first-timers. Loki star Owen Wilson will kick things off, followed by Kim Kardashian, No Time to Die James Bond villain Rami Malek, and then Ted Lasso himself, Jason Sudeikis, who was on SNL for years but hasn't yet hosted. And for the first time, all episodes will stream live each week on Peacock, in addition to airing on NBC. The first 4 musical guests in order will be Casey Musgraves, Halsey, Young Thug, and Brandi Carlile.
Yeah. You know what they didn't say? Whether or not it would be funny. We were talking earlier about the difference, because Kim Kardashian is going to host, right? So you can have the Kardashians. First of all, I say it and I get pushed back, and we've said it for years here. They're brilliant. Well, they don't have talent. They have so much talent. They have all kinds of. You know what they're talented at? Business. They looked around and said, man, we are blanking hot. Let's take it to another level. And then this thing came out called the internet, right? And the first time there was anything about a Kardashian on the internet wasn't the best situation. But lo and behold, they built an empire, and that includes the Jenners. And it's insane. But they're influencers. And, I was talking to my uncle yesterday, because we've got a business, and actually one of the things is the business that we're doing utilizes influencers. And when we first started doing this, when we first pitched it about 10 years ago, the word influencer wasn't even around. This wasn't around. That was, and it's very interesting, because now it's, we've got some VC meetings and people are really interested in the things that we're doing, and it's very cool. But I was telling him, when I first started doing voiceovers, you had some agencies that would only do voice work, and then you had some agencies that did modeling only, and then you had some that did some acting only, and some that did a little bit of everything, and then you've had, of course, the William Morris's CAA, Endeavor, all these huge things, ICM, and they kind of did everything. They had rock stars, and they had, comics, and they would also have big speakers like, Tony Robbins and all this. I mean, they did everything. And now you go and you look, and big agencies are like, do you want our interactive department? Because guys who are artists and gals who are artists and video game artists and creators, they have their own agents now. Do you want our influencers? Because these people are all influencers over here, and so they've got their. It's totally changed. She's a celebrity, but she's a business person, and she played a part. Brilliant. And wouldn't you want to too, if you could? Absolutely. Absolutely. It is crazy though when you go when you go on there and you see like, who's this person? And I don't know. But like last night I was watching something, I was flipping around, I'm like, I don't feel old. But there's a show called Wild and Out. It's been on for like ever. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know if I'm supposed to get it, but even if I was 21, I'd be like, I don't get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, my God. So here's my NFL pick. I'm going to give it to you right now because I got to get the first one in because there's a Thursday night game. You've got Carolina and the Texans. The Texans are playing with a guy who's their third-string quarterback that many of the players don't even know what he looks like when he takes his helmet off. And Carolina wins tonight over the Texans. That's my first pick for this week. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Afghanistan, inflation, crime, critical race theory, gas prices, the destruction of America's energy independence. And yet, of all of the president's screw-ups, there's not a single one greater than the crisis at the border. And it is a crisis. This year, over 2 million people will come into this country illegally, and we don't have the slightest idea who they are.
That's John Kennedy. Now, normally he has all kinds of fun stuff to say, but he's absolutely right. And by the way, when we talk about 2 million people coming in, if what is to be believed when you talk to the Border Patrol, right? They say they catch anywhere between 20 and 30%. Let's just say they catch 50%. Which we know they probably don't, but let's just say they do. It's not 2 million. It's closer to 4 million, of which 2 million we have absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea. The border is a hot, hot mess. And people are going to pick and choose where they think that this thing started. First of all, we gave amnesty way back in the day. Reagan did it. Tip O'Neill and them, they all got together. Oh, we're going to do this, but it's a one-off. It ain't happening again. We're fixing the problem. Problem's never been fixed. It's been half-assed. It's been jimmy-rigged, and then it became a moneymaker. Ooh, baby. And they're still making money off of it. They're still making money off of it.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
That right there was the telephone call. When he was still the former vice president, nominee from the Democratic Party running against Trump. The second debate, not the first one, the second one. That was if he wins, you guys heard what he said, right? You guys heard what he said. And now you've got this insane giant cluster hump down in Del Rio with the potential for there to be more. You've got battles and fights going on within the Border Patrol, DHS, the Biden administration. What did somebody know? What didn't they know?
ABC News has learned Border Patrol agents warned the administration months ago that Del Rio could be overwhelmed. The White House is now reportedly searching for a private contractor to operate a migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. But overnight, the Department of Homeland Security pushing back on that report, tweeting the agency will not send Haitian nationals to Guantanamo Bay. No! Criticism is also mounting after agents were seen on horseback appearing to use reins as whips against migrants. Those agents have now been placed on administrative duty pending an investigation.
All that being said, that's all that anybody's talking about, right? They're not talking about the fact that there's 13,000 people, 12,000, 10. They're not talking about an encampment that is a shanty town that is becoming, that is squalor that nobody should be living in. They're not talking about the fact that cities can't, these small cities that are around there aren't capable of handling. They're not talking about any of those things. They're talking about, yes, you see what happened? Oh, my Lord. Well, that's just the worst thing ever. Yeah, but what about all these people that are here? Why don't we stop? No. What happened there? It's the worst.
What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people, Haitians, into the water where they're scrambling and falling down, and all they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country, worse than what we witnessed in slavery.
That's what you get from the likes of Maxine Waters. You get that kind of, no, it's not. But Maxine gets it, right? She gets it. Maxine Waters gets that if you want to be relevant in the world of politics, you got to be loud. You got to be insane. You got to be crazy. You have to say the most absurd thing. You have to, even if you're not telling the truth. If your opinion is something, it can't just be, look, this is my opinion. It has to be completely over the edge. It has to be loud. It has to be a hot take so hot you can't even handle it with gloves. That's what it's got to be. How about this? That's the worst thing since slavery. It may even be worse than slavery. That's how you get noticed. That's why people keep putting the microphones in front of their faces. That's how we get the likes of Donald Trump and the AOCs. Because it's not about actually doing the job. It's about being loud enough to raise money and to be a celebrity, a politician celebrity. That's what it's about. Somebody asked me yesterday, Chad, do you think they could ever fix immigration? I said, absolutely. And he's like, who? I said, none of the people you see on television. They're not interested in that. They're interested in the chaos. They're interested in the screaming and yelling. They're interested in playing a part as a villain or a hero, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. They're not interested in the solution. I go back to, I don't know if you guys ever saw this movie, and if you haven't, it was funny. It was like one of John Candy's last movies. It was called Canadian Bacon. Canadian Bacon, and this is the perfect example of this hilarious movie about, it was like 1995, right? Was John Candy? I don't even know if he was. It was just this weird, Alan Alda was the president, right? You had Rip Torn, Bill Nunn, Rhea Perlman, Kevin Pollak, John Candy, right? And America's life was great. It was awesome. Things were good. We were living in peace in this movie. But there was no conflict. So nobody cared about the president, Alan Alda. So they basically went to the guy that helped start Vietnam down in the dungeon like the CIA to drum up some craziness and chaos to start some sort of war with Canada. And to gin up America to get people excited again. It's what politics needs, what politicians need. If things are good, they feel like they're not wanted. But you're doing your job. I always said politicians should be like referees. You know when a referee's good? When you don't know your name, that you don't know their name, and you never talk about them. That's when a referee's good. Politicians, they need to be talked about. They need to be relevant. So you got to say crazy things. You don't address the issue of 13,000, 12,000, 10,000, whatever anybody wants to. You never address that. You never address that issue. You then go out and say things like it's the worst thing since slavery, if not worse than slavery. You go out, if you're somebody like Ariana Presley, because you've got to also come out and say something because you're part of the squad now, and you've got to come out and you've got to say something like, my goodness me.
Calling on DHS to immediately halt these deportations and do everything possible to support those fleeing the violence on the island. We have a moral obligation to lead with compassion, and the images we've seen of Haitians waiting in tent camps to make an asylum claim, which is a legal right, is a reminder of that. Haitian lives are Black lives, and if we truly believe that Black lives matter, then we must reverse course.
So that, now it's Black Lives Matter. It's all Black Lives Matter. It's because you have to say something to get it so people talk about it. You can't be stagnant. You have to be loud. You can't be stagnant in a world where headlines matter, not the actual story itself. Those are the things that matter, because those are the things that get the clicks, the views, all of those things. Because how many people don't read the articles? How many people don't find out the truth? How many people want affirmation, not information? So that's where virtual signal comes in. It's easier to knock down a statue than to fix a problem. And it's the same thing here. It's easier to go, we should let all these people in here because they're all coming from horrible situations and the plight that they're in is awful. The plight that they're in is awful. Yes, it is. So we should let them all in because Black lives matter. And they're Black lives. What about the people who tried to help us with Afghanistan? We're still struggling over there, and we left people over there. What about people all over the world who are struggling? If we're not going to have a border, if we're not going to have rules, we're not going to have laws, what then? All questions that are fair to ask. It's not that we shouldn't have compassion. But unfortunately, people take our kindness for weakness. And what I see right now is pretty weak when it comes to things like the border. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from you. My Pillow is awesome. My Pillow. My Pillow. I love My Pillow. I love my sheets. Stayed at a hotel last night that I like. But you know what? I don't care how many pillows you give me. I like My Pillow. The sheets are nice, but they're not my Giza Dream sheets, which are incredible. Made from long staple cotton. You slide right into them. This cotton is incredible. The proprietary technology and the cotton, the way they put it together, it has a sateen feel. It's breathable. You'll sleep cool and comfortable. Right now, 50% off. They've got all these amazing deals, and I continue to go back to, if you've not tried the mattress topper, you're missing out. Go to MyPillow.com, take advantage of these deals and all these deep discounts across every single thing that they have. And check out the Giza Dream Sheets, 50% off, 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us take a peek on the old interwebs to find out what's trending on this glorious first full day of autumn. Survivor Season 41. I had no idea that was on. No idea that was on. I saw the commercials for it. It's supposed to be the best the best one ever. I'm like, really? No way. Are you serious? No way. You know what's funny? I want to say this. We have a show called Survivor where we stick a bunch of people who are privileged and, live in this great country and have all this. We stick them on an island. And we tell them to kind of survive doing, things. And you look at Del Rio, Texas, and you're like, that's the real Survivor show right there. That is. Just throwing it out there. Just saying. Melvin Van Peebles, father of Mario Van Peebles, who was a groundbreaking director, a black director back in the day when you didn't have him, passed away yesterday. Just, he was an interesting cat, and his dad's an interesting cat. I mean, his son's an interesting cat as well. Christmas, positive outlook for real Christmas trees in 2021. Space uniform. If you've not seen, Space Force debuted some sort of uniform, and quite frankly, they're interesting. I think it's the best way to describe that. Head on over to Twitter. Twitter has a lot of stuff over there, including how to avoid certain phrases to make you sound less passive-aggressive. All right? So here's the 4 phases. Instead of, per my last email, try this. I'm following up on below. For future reference, in case it's helpful. Bumping this to the top of your inbox. Now, this is all about emails, right? I know you're busy, but I thought I'd check in on this. And going forward, you're right. How about we try doing? Little things like that makes you look less Karen-y, if you will, on the email thing. And the battle that is Howard Stern and Joe Rogan. So Stern got on Rogan for, talking about the fact that he had it. He tried all this stuff and, he was fine. He didn't get vaccinated. He was fine. And, of course, Rogan has already had pushback from a lot of people out there because he has a lot of influence. And, he said, look, if I'm young and healthy, I don't think I'd take this thing. Why would you? When it came to the vaccine, and people jumped all over him. And, oh, my God, So Stern went on and hammered him the other day. And then he came out and continued. First of all, Stern joined with CNN. They attacked him and called, just went after him. And it's crazy, right? Stern said, we got no time for idiots in this country anymore. We don't want you. We want you either all to go to the hospital and stay home, die there with your COVID. Don't take the cure, but don't clog up our hospitals with COVID when you finally get it. Stay home. Don't bother with science. It's too late. Go blank yourself. We just don't have time for you. And I thought, that is compassion. That is compassion there. I'm like, sorry, you know what? Beauty of the choice, right? Like, that's just it. Well, people are more pissed that Joe Rogan got this thing and in like a day and a half. And it was the monoclonal antibodies that probably did it more than anything else, not the remdesivir. And if you know what maybe remdesivir, I think you got that. But the ivermectin, which they're talking about, which is, it's a dewormer. It is a dewormer, but when prescribed by a doctor, which has been given, 4 billion times worldwide? They did win a Nobel Peace Prize for it, and it is given to humans when prescribed by a doctor. If you're going down and buying it from a tax store, you're an idiot. But all that being said, more people are pissed that he survived, and he did it with virtually no thing. He wasn't sick for days. He wasn't, it's the worst thing that ever happened. I'm just, that goes back to what we've talked about, right? The Schadenfreude, where you take somebody's misery and it brings you joy, where people who don't get the vaccine, if they don't get really sick, you're bummed about that. And that is insane. It really is. But I expect nothing less anymore. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And you tweeted this: death by anti-science aggression. Defiance of vaccines, despite their availability, has murdered 100,000 Americans. More than global terrorism, cyber attacks, nuclear proliferation, and yet we refuse as a nation to implement measures to halt it.
100,000 Americans have died of COVID since May, despite the availability of safe and effective vaccines. And because of vaccine refusal, people bought into the disinformation, which I now call anti-science aggression. Another 100,000 are going to die by December at current estimates. So we're going to be looking at 200,000 deaths by anti-science.
So anti-science. 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 That's what we're doing now. Aggression, anti-science. By the way, I don't know if you guys remember this, but we talked about it a few years ago that, science is being attacked by the intelligentsia, if you will, in the schools. They're being attacked in there when it comes to things like, anything that they think is not woke. Great scientists who are applying for positions, you're hearing stories, Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein have talked about it, that they go in there and these guys will write these great things and they'll ask him, well, what's your social stance on certain things? And it's the what was the thing that was trending last year was cancel STEM. And so it's so funny to hear people that come out as you're anti-science. Well, no, everybody's science now. Science has become political because everybody realizes the power of science to be a political weapon. The power of science, whether it's climate change, well, let's use it as a political weapon. Whether it is anything to do with the vaccines, or is there a treatment for it, or is there everything that you can use now, you might as well. And science is a great thing to use to weaponize it. But you always have to remember a few things. First, who's writing checks? Where are you getting paid from? If you're getting paid from a certain area, they're going to want you to be a certain way. If you're worried that you're going to lose your job if you don't go along with certain things and you sign on stuff that you don't believe, well, that's a fear thing.
We build in a lot of infrastructure to combat global terrorism, cyber attacks, nuclear proliferation. Anti-science is killing more Americans than all of those things combined. We need to really take measures. We've refused as a nation to go after the sources of the disinformation. The disinformation does in non-governmental organizations, the aggression from the political right, what we're hearing on the conservative news outlets, what we're hearing, the anti-science aggression that we're hearing from U.S. members of Congress.
Depends on where you are, right? If you say, I don't believe in that, and this scientist over here says something different than this one, well, how do I know who it is? I mean, it's the same thing with data, right? If you hand me data, do you have an agenda? Tomorrow, the cyber ninjas are releasing their stuff. The way they're doing it is very bizarre. They're going to live stream it. There's not going to be any, there may be reporters, there may not be reporters. How good's the data? Who gets to refute any of these things? What are going to be the claims? Everybody's got an angle. Everybody does. We got to the point where you got, somebody like Howard Stern basically, bummed that Joe Rogan did get sick and die. Super bummed about that, right? Like that he got well fast. And Joe Rogan's like, why is everybody busting my balls? Because they didn't want you to be right. It is so insane. It is. And I'm just sitting there laughing, just laughing my ass off. Do you believe in science? Absolutely do. But I also believe science, like anything else in the world, can have an agenda. Let's go back those many years when the Coca-Cola Corporation hired a few scientists to come on board to talk about the amazing nutrients and nutritional goodness that Coke could bring. If you pay people enough, they will find you and deliver what you want. And it's hard to find people who don't have an agenda. That's why politicians are way better when they're not politicians, when they're retired members of society, because they can speak freely about the insanity. Otherwise, you just little pander bears. That's all it is. Just little pander bears. We can't even, here's a perfect example of insanity, right? So tomorrow is the day that they come out and they're gonna do what? They're gonna release this audit's been going on forever. It feels like. And tomorrow we're gonna get the findings from the cyber ninjas. The cyber ninjas who thought it was gonna take 14 days. Instead, we're 6.5 months into this and it's finally done. Well, what are we gonna find out? What's the data? What's it gonna look like? And since then, laws have been changed in certain places. People have gone and said, we're not going to allow these kind of things anymore. And now, of course, everything is what? Racist.
One thing we have to stop doing is treating all voter ID laws as the same.
Okay, so what voter ID laws are racist?
Apologies, Mr. Cruz, your state of Texas, perhaps?
Okay, so you think the entire state of Texas is racist. What about requiring an ID to vote is racist?
So I think, sir, that's pretty reductive. I'm not saying the entire state of Texas is racist.
You just said my state of Texas, so you tell me, what about the Texas voter ID laws is racist?
The fact that the voter ID law was put into place to diminish the political power of Latinos with racist intent.
You're asserting that. What's your evidence?
The federal district court that resolved the constitutionality of Texas's voter ID law.
Okay, so your view is voter ID laws are racist.
That's it. Okay, based on what? Well, because the vote and the ID, you got to get an ID. By the way, for those people out there of color, just want you guys to know, the Democrats think you are stupid. Think you are so stupid that you need to wear a helmet. You can't get on the internet. You have no capabilities for yourself. Hence the reason why you must hire them to essentially be their caregivers. And in doing so, pledge your undying, unwavering, ungivable to anybody else but them vote to them. Don Lemon and Fredo Cuomo. Ugh.
Is the obvious, the optic of it. Hey, what's wrong with showing an ID? Everybody has an ID, isn't it? Leaving out is, of course, the pernicious part, which is if you ask somebody, hey, do you think you should have to show an ID and prove who you are when you vote? Well, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I mean, people should know who you are. But you're not discussing what it takes to get that ID and who has them and who doesn't and why they don't have them.
Yeah, why don't they have them? Why? Why? Well, because they think you're stupid. I am 50 years old. I do not know an adult that does not have an ID. And if you don't have an ID, you either lost it or you're hiding from something or somebody. Right? But this is what you get here.
I try to explain that to people all the time. And what is accepted as an identification card, and I've got as ID, because you can, if you have a license to carry that card, you can do it. But if you're a student, your ID doesn't work. I mean, or an EBT
public
card.
Assistance.
I
wonder who has public assistance cards.
Well, you know who has public assistance cards? Poor people.
White and black.
Right, white and black. And I think you have to look, as you said, into the intent, and you have to do your research. Because people say that all the time. Well, why shouldn't you have to show an ID? And I say, do your research.
Yeah, do your research. Show an ID. Why do you have to show an ID? That sounds great. How about this? Why do I have to show an ID at work when I get a job? I'm curious. Why do I have to give you my most pertinent information when it comes to my Social Security number, my actual identification? I'm curious. Why do I have to show an ID when I go to buy Sudafed, for God's sakes? Get on an airplane. Do anything. Why? I'm curious as to why I have to show an ID. Poor people have IDs too. And again, if you can't get an ID, like the students, okay, what students? Are you talking about college kids? You're talking about people who are college kids, who are going to college in the United States of America, who've taken out massive loans to go to college, who've been given grants by the United States of America to go get an education, and they're incapable of getting an ID. If you're incapable to get an ID and you're in college, you shouldn't be in college.
and figure out what kinds of people don't historically have IDs, or who tend not to have IDs as to the rest of the population, and so on. You got to look at all of those things, and not just at the surface, as you said. Ask a question or some summary question like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, of course." Everyone's going to say yes until you actually get down to the nitty gritty.
The nitty gritty. What's the nitty gritty? What's the nitty gritty? You don't have an answer. What is it? Well, some people can't get there. Okay, again, right? Who are those people? Well, poor people. Why can't you get there? Why can't you do this? What is it that you can't do? What is it? There are older people. Producer Anthony and I were talking about this. Like his mother, she was older. She was never going to learn to drive a car. She, as far as she'd driven a car, but those years have gone, and she had an ID that looked like a card. My great grandmother had the same thing. Well, you took them down there. So you're talking about one person who has no friends, who has no family, who lives in a home, who is unaware of what's going on, cannot move, cannot go anywhere, cannot do something, and no one will ever help them. You're talking about that person? They're probably not voting. It's not about voting. When you hear them talk, it's about the fact that they're essentially saying to people of color, you're kind of stupid. So we're going to have to help you because you're incapable of doing for yourself. Do I agree with all these things that Republican governors have passed? No. And the legislators? No. I have zero problem voting by mail, but I think when you go to register and do all the things you're supposed to do, absolutely. I'm just saying this isn't so much even about the voting. It's just about the way that so many people look at people of color. You're forever a victim. You're forever a victim. And you know who continues to tell you that? People on the left. And people on the left of color will tell you that even louder. And you know you're not. And yes, you know, if you're listening, I got an ID. I know where to go because I'm a grown-up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. So I started giving my dog, Doodle, Rough Greens about 18 months ago. So here's the beauty of Doodle, right? So Doodle is this dog that we got. We adopted him. He was a hot mess. He got even hotter of a mess. We thought he was like 4 or 5. Turned out he was like 8. His hips were really bad. We didn't know what to do with him. And then he got nippy and bitey because his hips were so bad. And then he looked like he got struck by lightning. And we're like, this is not going to end well for Doodle. And we're going to put him to sleep. We started giving Rough Greens. We tried it. It's funny. Before they were ever sponsored, they sent us a bunch. Said, let's try it. And we went months without talking to him. But we noticed immediately, boom, what a change. His fur is better. His hips are better. He's got more energy. Then when we got puppies, we gave it to them. Rough Greens has vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff. It is not food you sprinkle on your dog's food. They love the taste. You watch what it does. Try it before you buy it. Try it before you buy it. Okay? They're going to give you a bag for free, a $50 value for free. All they want you to do is cover the cost of shipping. Get it now. Go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. Put it to the test. You see what it can do for your dogs. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. Ruffgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
I am so excited. Later on today, the privilege of interviewing. You know, it's not often you get to interview like somebody it's like a hero, somebody that's you look up to. And as a kid growing up, when I look back at comedy and I look back at all these amazing things, there there are a few things in shows and stuff that stand out in people. And John Cleese, we're going to interview him a little bit later today. You guys will hear it tomorrow. Is just, to me, the brilliance. And when you go back, and everybody knows Monty Python. Everybody knows Monty Python. And yes, Monty Python's great. And he's done so many other things. But to me, his brilliance in Fawlty Towers. And if you don't know what the show Fawlty Towers is, it was arguably one of the best sitcoms. And there was only 12 episodes. There was only 12 episodes. Now, Britain does things a little bit different. They don't do everything the way that like, in fact, the way that they did this, and understand that there was 2 seasons, 12 episodes. It went from 75 to 79. They didn't do kind of like we do now with Netflix. It's not all, just, hey, we're going to just cut it one after another. I mean, you go look, the other day, I was like, I'm looking at watching Gunsmoke. I'm like, season 2, episode 43 or whatever. I'm like, my God. Yeah, it's not like that. But this show was brilliant. And it was based on a small, hotel bed and breakfast in Torquay in England. And John Cleese and his then wife, Connie Booth, Prunella Scales, they starred in it. And it was just brilliant. He had just this cast of characters, and his name was Basil Fawlty. And I'm excited. And in a day and age where people are getting canceled. People are getting canceled. We'll talk a little bit later about Johnny Depp. Oh, he's getting canceled. He's talking about cancel culture and come for anybody. Yeah, it can. And it does. And at the end of the day, people don't even care if what they're saying about you is right. It goes back to, people ask me, I've got a pretty decent sized audience, and I thank every one of you for that. I thank my producers and all the people I work with. But I'll tell you, could I be bigger if I was more outrageous? Absolutely. Would it be disingenuous? Of course. Of course it is. And in a day and age when people are looking to destroy other people, this punishment culture, and he's gone through it, and he's going through it now. One of the reasons why he's here in America. But everybody is hunting to get somebody. What can they do? What can the mob say to get somebody fired? How can they wrangle up anger? I mean, from the changing of, was it Jessica Rabbit now? Right? Ah, Roger Rabbit. Oh, Roger! Yeah, that's totally different now. To the getting rid of, making the women less sexy in video games. And so you're like, sounds like a fun beige world we're living in. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet, text, do it all, kids. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Has President Biden ever been to the southern border?
In his life?
Yes.
I will have to look back in my history books and check the times he's been to the southern border.
We have been looking all morning, and we cannot find any record of him visiting the border as president, vice president, senator, or even as a concerned citizen. Why would that be?
I can check and see when the last time or when he may have been.
Man. Ducey is to Psaki what the press and Jim Acosta and was to Trump. Has he ever? Has he been there ever? Maybe. I don't know. That is, has he ever been there? No. Maybe, probably. I don't know. I'll check. Maybe. I got to look at we've been looking. Well, maybe. I don't know. He flew one time and he flew over it. Does that count? That's not the same. It's not? Are you sure? That should count. that should count. So for the last 48 hours, this is typical press media. We're not asking the question about how did 10, 12, whatever it was, 1,000, 15,000 people wander up. How did that happen? How did they wander up, set up shop in a little city of 35,000 people? And how is it that our government seems to be oblivious to it? I'm curious. I mean, just how is that? And just like, has he ever been there? Maybe. I don't know. Humanitarian crisis. It is a nightmare. But you know what you need to do? You need to run to the cameras and you need to say the most insane things you can possibly say. Case in point, Maxine Waters, who, as we all know, will say anything at all to make sure that she continues to get the cameras put in her face.
What the hell are we doing here? What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. Cowboys with their reins again, whipping black people, Haitians, into the water where they're scrambling and falling down, and all they're trying to do is escape from violence in their country. Worse than what we witnessed in slavery.
So that's worse than what we witnessed in slavery. That is worse than what we witnessed in slavery. That's what it is. Worse than what we witnessed in slavery. If you continue to be insane, people will continue to give you the microphone. Do I think she's insane? I do not. I think she is smart as it comes in the world of politics. You say incredibly insane things. You give crazy hot takes. People will continue to come to you over and over again. Here's a hot take, but this one's retro.
If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot.
That's Biden. The internet never forgets. If Haiti sunk or rose up, nobody cared. Oh, my goodness me. So the battle is over the last 2 days, not what happened. Not the fact that there is 13,000, 10,000, whatever it is. I mean, the numbers at this point are they're inconsequential because there's apparently another group coming right behind that could be much larger than this. None of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. What matters is these two guys, in particular, one guy who looked like they were whipping. That's what people are focusing on. Not the fact that our Border Patrol is drinking out of a fire hydrant. Our Border Patrol is struggling to maintain any semblance of a border. And when you ask anybody about that, well, God bless them, because there's nothing wrong with our border. Nothing.
I think the narrative about immigration is so wrong. First of all, the southern border is 1,954 miles. It is not out of control. Thank you to those who are protecting it. I have many people who acknowledge that.
Not out of control. Not out of control. Our Border Patrol is not out of control. You don't think that? Our border's not out of control? You don't think that there's an issue there? We did a report, I think it was about 3 weeks ago. There was about 6 officers for about 240 miles of border. It's not out of control. Man, they are struggling in every way, shape, or form to spin this. There's a problem here. We know that. There's a problem here. It needs to be dealt with. There's a problem here. We have true issues at this border, and the progressives are excited, right? This gives an opportunity to come out, to say stuff, to talk about all kinds of, how we need to be more welcoming. I'm all about more welcoming. But before we can start to get it in order, we got to get this in order first. We got to stop the illegal immigration. We got to find out who's here. We got to figure out how and what we're going to do to deal with all of this stuff. And to tell me seeing 12,000, 10,000, whatever it is that somebody wants to send me numbers, it's 14,000 this and it's 15,000, it's 11, whatever it is, seeing that many people living under a bridge, and you're telling me there's no problem. What? That's a you thing at this point in time. You are playing politics. We got so much more of this to get to. I sit back. And I think to myself, my God, you guys are so delusional. I don't even know where to begin. You're so delusional. Even people that are Democrats that I know are like, this can't happen, right? Like, we got to stop this. You can't have this. Oh, they can have it, and they will. Gladly. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So much more to get to today. On top of all that, so you got the border issues. Afghanistan that he's still reeling from. COVID and the battle there, and we're still not quite sure what's, boosters, no boost, maybe boost, kind of boost, you boost, I boost, everybody boost. At the end of the day, though, we all step back and we say one thing. It's the economy, stupid.
For a second straight week, jobless claims rose slightly, a sign the virus may be blocking the job market's rebound. 351,000 Americans filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits. That is still way below the pandemic high, but it's elevated compared to before the pandemic. Hiring was slower last month, and nearly 3 million Americans are still receiving unemployment aid.
Yeah. So spending's down a little bit. People are looking around and thinking to themselves, what may happen because it's fall now. It's officially fall. Christmas time is right around the corner. This is the time of the year when businesses there's already going to be issues when it comes to businesses and making hay. We've got a supply chain problem that is real, and it's not getting any better. And it's not just the fact, think about this. It's not just the fact that we have chip problems. There's so many things that go into it. But that's going to affect everybody. Then you couple that with inflation. There's so many issues. And when you make that hay, your goal is I make all of this money in a big way so I can survive through the first quarter and parts of the second quarter next year as we ramp up towards summer and then redoing it again. Inflation is very real. The whole thought process of, it's temporary. It's only going to be here for a little bit. It's temporary. It's only going to be here. Don't worry about it. Well, maybe it's going to be here a little bit longer. There is a lot out there.
Wait! Your new car, refrigerator, bicycle, sofa, computer, phone, even your next wine and cheese party could be in peril. Held up by massive supply chain delays. How did this happen? After long months of pandemic shutdowns, demand among American consumers shot up faster than expected. So high, the Port of Los Angeles just had its busiest month ever. But on any given day, dozens of ships can't unload because there aren't enough dock workers to handle that massive surge.
Yeah, that's one thing. There was somebody that took a picture yesterday, posted it. He was on a plane, or she was on a plane, and they were flying out, because when you take off out of LAX, you turn and you go one way, same thing over Long Beach, you're going to come out over the ocean. And they took a picture, and you could see about 100 ships just sitting out there waiting to go in and dock, and they don't have the workers for it. And the trickle down comes. If people aren't going to be able to get their stuff, they're not going to be spending money. They're not spending money. You're going to see the things that are available. Those prices are going to shoot up because of demand. People aren't going to be afford certain things. You're going to start to see that inflation pinch. It could potentially be a slow holiday season. We already had one of those. It's the economy, stupid. At the end of the day, people are going to be looking around going, well, you're not getting really right on the border. We can't even give you anything less than an F, or we would. Afghanistan was a giant, right? You got that COVID where you thought you were going to be the commander-in-chief to get away COVID and get this thing out of here. That didn't happen the way that people thought. And now we've got shrinkflation, inflation. People are going to be asking questions in a different way sooner rather than later because they know they got midterms coming up. And that's why the Democrats are pressing hard with so many of these things, because I think they understand at the rate it's going, there's going to be a changing of the guard when it comes to parts of the Senate and in particular in the House. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, kids, let me tell you something. Roman, you want to get Roman ready, right? Roman ready. One thing that is available, one thing that is inexpensive, because you don't want shrinkflation when it comes to this. No. You don't. So you want to get Roman ready. Yeah, what's Roman? So first of all, you go to getroman.com/Chad. Talk to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about ED. You can do it right from the privacy of your home. It's comfortable, it's simple, and easy. So when you're ready and the time is right, you're going to be confident to know that, yes, you can rise to the occasion. GetRoman.com/Chad. You complete an online visit. You talk to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional. Medication is appropriate. It ships to you free within 2 days of shipping. That's how simple it is. Go to GetRoman.com today. GetRoman.com/Chad. GetRoman.com/Chad. If prescribed, 50% off your first month ED treatment. Make sure you're confident. Yeah. And you're ready. Yeah. Because you want to win this summer and this fall. Get Roman ready. GetRoman.com/Chad today. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The restaurant has confirmed to ABC News that the couple was there, and they say they're now speaking with the FBI, though the FBI is not commenting and has not confirmed the incident. Authorities had previously believed the last time Petito was seen alive was 3 days earlier, leaving a Utah hotel with Laundrie. And Laundrie wouldn't be seen again until 2 days later, when a couple says they picked him up hitchhiking alone. And by September 1st, Laundrie had returned to South Florida with Petito's van, but without Gabby.
Yeah. Again, stranger and stranger. The whole thing is just, it's bizarre. Where is he? Right now, they're looking everywhere, and that means everywhere, above ground and...
Authorities have stressed the fact they brought a dive team in here at this nature reserve does not necessarily mean they found anything. They say they've also brought in boats, even sonar equipment, to try to make sure that if Brian Laundrie is here and even underwater, they can still find him.
He's living underwater? I think we're dealing with a meta-human here. No, did he kill himself? And the big thing, and I'm telling you, that more and more people are looking at the family. The family. That's your child, right? And we saw it, and I keep going back to this. Remember, was it Affluenza? Is that what it was called? The Affluenza kid? So the Affluenza kids, you guys don't remember this, several years ago. You had this kid who got drunk. He crashed his SUV or somebody's SUV and killed, I think it was 3 or 4 people. Hurt some others. He was like 15. He got off, essentially, as far as on probation, because his mother and father, the way that the prosecution, said, look, this kid's out of control. And then his defense team's like, look, he's never had consequences. His family is so rich that anything that happens, they write a check. He doesn't understand consequences. He is above consequences in his mind because he's never had them. So why should he? And so that's how he got off. Then what ended up happening? He got caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do on film. They revoked his probation or whatever he was supposed to be doing because he wasn't supposed to be drinking or anything. He was still underage. And his mom pulled out all this cash and they disappeared, went to Mexico. It's your kid. Some people would say, honey, what did you do? What do you know? other people will do everything in their power to protect their kid.
If they have knowledge, yes, I would love to say, please share more information. If they don't have knowledge, then, there's only so much they can do.
They have to know more than they're letting on. Did they send the police on a wild goose chase? And people are asking the question, too. You knew he came home. It was a missing report was filed. Eventually, you kind of came over and talked to the family, but you never said he was a suspect, but you didn't say he wasn't. And rather than just go, you know what, let's just watch the house and see what happens, you did nothing. And now he's gone. And who knows where he could be? Did they say he went to this reserve and he disappeared? Or did they say, hey, we're going to tell him, we're going to give them a 48-hour head, or 72-hour head start. We're going to send them all over the place. We're going to tell them we don't know anything. And boom, you get out of here. Here's a bunch of money, all that stuff. Don't know. But it is an intriguing story because you've got a guy that's disappeared, and people are going to be people are going to be looking for him everywhere. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Did you guys hear Hollywood's going to save us from coronavirus, climate change, and everything else? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
When Kermit the Frog sang, "It's not easy being green." You remember that one? I want you to know that he was wrong.
I can listen to Boris Johnson all day talk about that. I think it's hilarious. We Kermit the Frog. Yesterday, of course, was climate. It was climate something. I don't know. We got shamed by all the late night hosts, which is always fun because nothing's more exciting than having extremely well-to-do people tell us how horrible us regular folk live. And people always say, Chad, you don't believe in climate change, or Chad, you're a person who pushes climate change. No, this is what I'm going to tell you guys. Everybody, listen up. The climate has changed. We absolutely play some part in it. How big is that part? I don't know. But we're also a creature that adapts. That's something that we need to understand as well. When people talk about how bad the climate is, again, we can go back and there's been anomalies throughout time where you can look and say, well, the climate changed here. What happened here? There was only so many people on the earth. Look at us now. We are a species of 7+ billion human beings, not counting all the other species. We have also gone and done all kinds of things and added stuff and pillaged at times all these natural resources. Of course, we're going to have some sort of effect. Again, how big is that effect? I don't know. But we adapt. The Dutch adapt, right? They're like, we better start building these things and dikes and doing all kinds of stuff because look here, we're lowland. Right? Florida, people say, when we talk about destruction, look at the destruction these things have done. Understand that many, 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 many moons ago, there was nothing there. And when there's nothing there, it's like it's tree falling in the woods. Does anybody hear it? That's the same kind of thing. If there's an uninhabited island and a hurricane rolls through, we don't talk about the damage that was done to it. When we talk about damage, we do it in dollars. Places like Florida and a lot of these other places, New Orleans is essentially you're below sea level, right? You get that, right? That's why they have all the things that they have and the levees broke. You're below sea level. So when we talk about climate change and fires and this, that, and the other, I am all about talking about it, but at the same time, I don't need to be preached to. But when I hear Boris Johnson talk about it, and it ain't easy being green, it makes me laugh. Because it's Boris Johnson, for God's sakes. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So we talk about immigration. Look, we can sit here all day and we can debate how bad Biden's been versus has he been the worst ever at it. I mean, that you're starting at, you are so bad that you're either the worst of all time or you're close to the worst. That's your starting point based on your first 8 months at the job. Those are your starting points. You're awful. You may be the worst. Let's go over that again. You're awful. You may be the worst. But all day yesterday and a lot to today, very little was talked about when it came to the actual issue at hand. Very little was talked about. What was focused on? Whether or not these guys whipped somebody or didn't whip somebody.
I know these agents. I know all of them. They're good people who were stuck in a terrible position, just like all the immigrants were.
Yeah, that's what you hear. They were stuck in a terrible position. But were they whipping?
People were upset because then there were allegations that the agents were whipping them, and which is just not true.
I don't know. The optics are ugly. I think we can all realize that. But the focus yesterday was not on, and hasn't been for the last 2 days, the fact that there was some 10 to 15,000 people living in squalor underneath a bridge in Texas where they came up here and people knew about it. And they knew it was coming. Not only did they know it was coming, apparently they had been told it was coming. But like everything else, in a world of we focus on the thing that truly doesn't matter because, well, there's a reason to be outraged or to pat people on the back and say, look how good we are, rather than the actual issue itself. Reports are coming out. They knew things were coming this way. Reports are coming out. They knew people were coming here in mass numbers. Reports are coming out that they've been warned. And by the way, they're being warned again that anywhere between, I've seen reports up to 30,000 people may be on their way.
ABC News has learned Border Patrol agents warned the administration months ago that Del Rio could be overwhelmed. The White House is now reportedly searching for a private contractor to operate a migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. But overnight, the Department of Homeland Security pushing back on that report, tweeting the agency will not send Haitian nationals to Guantanamo Bay. No! Criticism is also mounting after agents were seen on horseback appearing to use reins as whips against migrants. Those agents have now been placed on administrative duty pending an investigation.
Of course, they're going to. But you hear there, all that, they were warned. They were ignored. Welcome to the world of what we do. And what always amazes me is the fact that we're in a position, as we have been for a very long time, of the virtue. When people talk about virtue signaling, what is virtue signaling? It's an appearance of something. You want to signal to everybody, look how virtuous you are. When in reality, you don't want to do anything. We just talked about climate change. People want to drive an electric car and think, oh, look, I'm doing something for the climate. But all the while, they're really not. But it makes people feel like they're doing something. People want to virtue signal all day about how horrible this situation is for these guys, allegedly whipping. And again, the optics are awful. Never really dealing with the fact that all these people have made a trek here, have crossed into our country illegally, have set up a shanty town, and are living in absolute squalor underneath a bridge with more potentially coming on the way, and we're still not dealing with it. It is so much easier to say, hey, look over here, let's topple this statue, but I don't really want to deal with the real problem. But if I look good doing it, if I can complain loud enough, people will pay attention to me, but not the real issue. I said it, and I continue to say it. It's like people say, I need to lose. Do you think you need to lose some weight? Do you think you need to do this? You know what? Why don't I get a haircut? Issues need to be dealt with. Immigration is a hot mess. This administration is useless. Immigration is getting worse on a daily basis because this administration has been absolutely quiet on anything. They rang the dinner bell. and they've done nothing about it. They rang the dinner bell, and they paid no attention to what the outcome was going to be, because they figure, well, everybody's looking at COVID. Everybody's looking. They rang the dinner bell, and when people showed up for dinner, they had nothing to offer. I don't blame the people leaving their absolute abject poverty, violent, dangerous life, making the trek here. I blame the system for continually allowing to happen, and the politicians to continue to do what they've done over and over again, which is make sure that they can profit off of it, which is to make sure they can make everybody understand that it is them that they need to be continued to be put into power to over and over and over again fight the evils of people who want to be essentially closed borders, never allow anybody here, or people who want to be open borders because the other side's bad and you've got a way. But since I've been an adult that knew what was going on, you could see this was never going to get fixed as long as there was money in the problem. And it should piss all of us off. And what happens now? What happens now when the next 15,000 show up? What happens now when the next 15,000 show up in Tucson? What happens now when the next 15,000 show up in McAllen? What happens now when the next 15,000 show up where? Towns aren't equipped for it. People are crying out for help. And all the while, we've got an administration that is as useless as it gets when it comes to this. But we've had administrations in the past on both sides that have been pretty useless. Because as far as they're concerned, there is no problem. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. You want to get ready? You want to get Roman ready. What exactly is Roman ready? Well, let's just say you met somebody. You like him. You like her. It's the time. You know the time. Gone out, right? Things are going to work. It's time to go. Burp, 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 burp. That's Roman ready. Standing at attention. Erectile dysfunction, men, it happens. And there's ways to treat it. GetRoman.com/Chad. You go there, complete a online visit, right? So you go through this online visit that's safe, that it's a U.S. licensed professional. It's at your home. You're comfortable. And you talk to them about erectile dysfunction. Right from your home, right? They want to make sure you're ready to stand at attention when it's time to stand at attention. Now, here's the thing. If they come up with a plan, a treatment plan, if medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. Whole process is straightforward. It's convenient. It is easy. Complete an online visit by going to GetRoman.com/Chad. And if you're prescribed, you're going to get 50% off your first month's ED treatment. Simple. It's easy. Why not? Go to GetRoman.com/Chad today. GetRoman.com/Chad today. Save 50% off your first month ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer. Roman ready. GetRoman.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Johnny Depp has kept a low profile since his nasty divorce from actress Amber Heard, and her claims he physically abused her, claims he denies. But now he's warning people about cancel culture.
It's so far out of hand now that I can promise you that no one is safe.
Talking there at a press conference in Spain, where he received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the San Sebastian Film Festival. Depp feels Hollywood has been boycotting him since the Heard allegations, and he's suing her for defamation in a trial scheduled to start next year.
Yeah, but it is out of hand, and we've touched on it on numerous occasions. The right has, people have talked about this for the last several years, but that, the right gets upset because people get canceled and stuff. I never want anybody canceled. I always think there's hope and redemption. Now, obviously, there is a between people being canceled for things that, Harvey Weinstein is not being canceled. I want everybody to understand that Harvey Weinstein's not being canceled. We're not talking about people who, Bill Cosby is not being canceled. There is a difference between being canceled because people want to get excited because they feel they could virtue signal, as we were talking about in the last segment. They could virtue signal the hell out of stuff thinking they're doing something great because they have this online mob where they can go and attack people because they have a differing point of view, or they said something 9 years ago that somebody happened to overhear and that they have every right to destroy that human being's life. That's wrong. People ask me all the time, why don't you do comedy? What? Why would I? Well, because, you're funny. Yeah. And you did it before. Yeah. We're in a different time now. People are looking for reasons to cancel. People are looking for reasons to come for people. People are looking for reasons to slam people and destroy. I have never understood that. I never have. I have never understood that. I have never in my life thought to myself, man, somebody said something so bad in a joke 8 years ago that we need to make sure that that person's life is thoroughly destroyed, that they can never have anything ever again. Are you kidding me? What the hell is wrong with people? I don't know. I've often wondered that. Yesterday we were playing the Justin, Trudeau's going through his, LGBTQ and stuff, and I was talking to producer Anthony, about it because he says, you got to listen to chat. It's funny. And somebody said, how dare you make fun of the LGBT community? I'm like, I'm not making fun of the LGBT community. That's what you heard. What I was making fun of was the fact that Justin Trudeau was so in a position to want to be politically woke that he twisted over backwards like a pretzel, got everything made. No. Are you an ally? I'm an ally to nobody. I'm a friend to a lot. We're not going to war, but I'll go to war with you if somebody does something horrible to you. But it's insane. It truly is. It truly is insane. Tomorrow we're going to have John Cleese on, and I'm super excited about it. Actually, we're going to tape it a little while from now. And John Cleese was once a treasure in the UK. Right? He was once. Now he's kind of a pariah. Why? Because people say, well, we've become, much different than the past. We've become much more aware, much more all of these things. And because of that, people like him have no place in today. No, people like him absolutely do. Because it's people like him and others who challenge the norm. People like him and others who are willing to look people in the face, willing to stand in front of the crowds and say, you guys got it all wrong. All you have to do is go back to Monty Python. Remember? It's a witch. It's a witch. She's a witch. Well, how do you know she's a witch? Well, it's simple. We'll do a test. Well, what's the test? We'll drown her. And? Well, and if she survives, we know she's a witch, and then we'll burn her at the stake. And that seems fair. Translation to today. You're a bad person. I know you are. And because of that, we're going to destroy you. But that's not what I meant. Well, it doesn't really matter what you meant. Yeah, people like him have a more than just a place in today's conversation. And wokeness is out of control, and everybody knows the insanity of it all. I was speaking yesterday to a guy who I'm doing some work with, and he said to me, after the George Floyd thing, he said, our company had to have this giant meeting about all this. Now, he goes, I work with 99.9% liberals. We're having this huge meeting. We find the one black guy to essentially lead the meeting, is what he said, who really wasn't, kind of almost made him feel uncomfortable about it. And then what do? The whole thought process is they wanted to feel bad about it. They wanted to be woke about it. They want to do all these kind of things. That's, again, it goes back to being insane. Overreaction, overwoke, makes very little sense. But for a lot of people, it makes them feel like they're really good people. Is that what you have to do to make you feel like that? Whether you're trying to cancel somebody, tell somebody their humor sucks, destroy their lives, it's crazy. shame people for driving big SUVs. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Have a blessed, awesome rest of your day. We will do it again tomorrow. That is, I see Friday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.